This is Zach. Now we're going to learn some CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's used to style your HTML pages. Using CSS, you can easily style just a portion of your page or all the pages within your site. So now we're going to take a look at how CSS works. So I'm in a text editor, I have a blank page. I'm going to create just a basic HTML page. And then we're going to use CSS to style it up. So I'm going to add my tags. We'll add a title. We'll close each tag when we're done with it. We're going to add just one header. It says style me with CSS, please. And now we have our basic page. Now we're going to go to a browser and open it up and see how it looks. It's really quite basic. Okay, so it's a white page with black text. Well, now let's do something. Let's use CSS to make the background black and the text white. We're going to go back to our page. Now the way CSS works is you can put it several places within the page. There's an external style sheet, which we're going to learn in the next tutorial. But for now, we're going to use what's called an internal style sheet. And the place you put it is within your head tag. Now you put CSS within a style tag. So we're going to go ahead and open the style tag and close it right now. And the way CSS looks is that it has a selector, which is the tag you want to apply your property and values to. And then you specify what properties and values you want. So what does that look like? Let's first make the background black. So we want to apply our property and value to what tag? The body. We want the whole body to be black. So we're going to type body, and in brackets, we're going to put our selector and value. Our property and value. The property is the background, and the background should be black. So the value is black. Now we separate the property from the value with a colon, and we end one of these with a semicolon at the end. That way we can apply a lot of different properties to any CSS selector. So now that we've told the body's background to be black, we're going to go back and take a look. And sure enough, the background's black. The only problem is our text is black as well, so you can't see it. So we'll go back to our page, and now we want to make the text white. Now our text is an H1 tag. So our selector is going to be H1. Our property is going to be the color. And let's make it, how about yellow? We end with a semicolon, and we close our bracket. Let's take a look at how that looks. Very good. So we now have a black background and yellow text. Now let's suppose we want to make our text a little bit different font. All right. Right now we have a serif font, which means it has the little nubs at the end. We're going to change that to Arial, which is a sans serif font. All right. So we're still in our H1. We're going to say font family should be Arial. Let's go back. When I refresh, take a look at the font. We've now changed it. So you'll see I now added two properties to the H1. Now let's add a paragraph to our HTML. This will simply say, let's see the styles. Now if I refresh the page, you don't see it because we didn't tell it to be anything but black. Okay? So if we look at our code, we see we only told the H1 tags to be yellow. We didn't tell the paragraph tags to be yellow. So if we wanted all the font to be yellow, instead of saying H1, we'll put it in the body. Then anything within the body is going to have the color yellow. Go back and refresh, and sure enough, our paragraph is yellow. Now the next thing we're going to do, let's add a custom background. Instead of just a black background, let's grab a picture. All right, we're going to find a picture to use. Here's the one I'm going to use. I copied the URL to that image. Now I'll go back to the body. Instead of having a black background, I'm going to say the background should be this URL. And the URL is in parentheses. Now let's go back to our page, and when I refresh, sure enough, I have the picture as the background. Okay, now what we want to do, let's add another header tag. This one will simply say, I'm the second header. All right, that's another headline of level 1. We'll take a look at our page, and sure enough, we have two headlines. They're both yellow. Now suppose you want to style one headline but not the other. How do you do that? They both are H1s, so anything you put in the H1 selector are going to apply to both of them. However, you can add a class, and a class lets you select one versus the other. So I'm going to set a class equal to fancy for my second header. So I put that as an attribute within the H1 tag. Now how do I style just the fancy headers? Well, I have my H1 style here. Now I'm going to do an h1.fancy, which means a headline level 1 of class, which is the dot fancy. Now our fancy one is going to have a background, a border, some padding, and a different color. That's a lot, I know. So we're going to do, the background should be red. Our color is going to be black. And our border will be 1 pixel wide and a solid yellow. And furthermore, we're going to add some padding, which will extend the outside of the headline before the text. We're going to say that's 10 pixels. Okay, so I just added a bunch of properties and values to the fancy H1, which is the class fancy headline level 1. And I'm going to see how that looks. And sure enough, it has the yellow border, the black text, and the red background. So as you can see, CSS is actually really easy. It all uses the same format as this. You put a style tag within your head tag, and in your style tag, you specify what tags you want to style, and then how you want those styles applied. Each one ends in a semicolon, and you can put as many different styles in each selector as you want. So that's the basics of CSS. In the next tutorial, we'll learn how that can be applied to a project you've seen earlier.